Hey guys, Tyler with Next Level HiFi here, and last year we had a really awesome time and pleasure of welcoming Jay from Jay's Audio Lab to do an exclusive store tour of our hi-fi store. It was an awesome experience. We captured most of it on video, so take a look and let us know what you think.
Today I find myself outside of Next Level HiFi, one of the premier audio stores in the Chicago area. Come inside and let me show you what this magnificent store is all about. Let's go. At Next Level HiFi in Wayne, Illinois, here's Tyler and Dana.
Welcome in, Jay.
Thank you for having me.
Dana.
Much appreciated. I mean, it's been a long time coming. I am so excited, as you can see, because I've heard great things about your store, of course. The level of equipment. Oh, God, I get to see the $500,000 Borresen loudspeakers, the M6s, a speaker that I heard briefly at Capitol Audio Fest.
Yep.
You displayed that. You gave me the pleasure of seeing it for the first time. Otherwise, I probably would have only seen it on magazines or the website itself. So here's my second time in front of these monsters. And guess what? I'm going to hear them in a private environment. I'm actually going to be able to listen to them the way many of you should listen to this loudspeaker. So I read a little bit about the story, your story behind this beautiful store and how it all got started. Tell my audience how this all came about, this Next Level HiFi idea.
Yeah, it's a bit of a crazy story. So fortunately, my wife Dana's helped me all along the way. But started out as pure hobby, pure passion, and as time went on, started in 2005. As time went on, I had a mentor, Jay, that was really suggesting to me to have extreme focus in what I was doing. And so, of course, we dabbled in lots of brands, and over the course of time, we really got heavily focused on the Audio Group Denmark brands. Now, of course, we have some other great brands that we'll talk about later. But when you come into the store, you see the monster M6s at $550,000 a pair. And the little brothers aren't too shabby at $280,000 a pair, the M3s. And so we are fully loaded with some incredible Audio Group Denmark gear in this main room. And Dana, my wife, has supported me all along the way, even when I started with brands like Rotel and Arcam and things like that.
But I want you to tell the story first, what I read on the site about
story.
The first speaker.
Time he bought something and brought it home. I don't know if it was a speaker. I think it was Rotel's. Well, when we first met, he told me he was into high-end audio, and I was like, yeah, okay. My dad has like a Sony all-in-one player. I know what those are. So we were living in an apartment at the time in Milwaukee, and he comes home from, I can't even remember the name of the store, but it doesn't really matter. Anyway, a high-end store, and he's like, I bought this new Rotel system. And I was like, oh, great, thinking, a couple $100, And when he told me the price of the Rotels, I was shocked. I was like, that's more than our rent. What are you doing? We have a child, right?
You heard that story through me before.
I think this is a very common story. And I'm sure he gave me the wife price. I don't even know that I had the full price.
Yes. Sometimes we miss a couple of zeros.
Yeah, just like women do with our handbags or whatever the case is. So, and I just remember thinking, okay, this is just the beginning, and man, it's come a long way, obviously, since then. But
definitely.
But it's been a fun journey, and I think, Tyler and my hi-fi story, although we own a business and we do this for a living, it's really similar to so many other hi-fi guys and gals out there. You start at some level. Maybe you had a dad or an uncle or an aunt, whatever the case is, who was into hi-fi, and you kind of got a taste for it, and then you kind of just grew that taste. Essentially, we've done the same thing. We've just been really fortunate that through a lot of hard work, Ty's been able to share that with other people as well.
Now, it's clear that they have tremendous equipment, as you can see right now on your screen. Essentially, some of the best loudspeakers known to us that money can buy. But one thing I read, and I still remember on your website, one of the biggest things and most important things for you is customer service. The importance, knowing that the transaction doesn't end the moment the customer pays. It only begins.
Yeah.
Tell us a little more about that.
It's huge. I mean, when you're spending this kind of money, and we have some extremely expensive products, and it just takes an entire level of trust that is unfathomable. I'll give you an example. We have a client in Little Rock, Arkansas, and middle of hi-fi nowheresville. There's nothing there.
Nowheresville. That's the right word.
So, and we're so fortunate that he like selected us, and he spent a lot of money with us, and he become friends. He's become a little bit of a business mentor for me as well. But what's important about the story is his system broke down, and it was from the UK. I'm not going to say the brand, but it just flat out broke down, and it's hundreds of thousands of dollars. And we tried troubleshooting it over the phone, and it was something where he was going to get frustrated. He started moving cables, and I spent this kind of money, Tyler, and so what do? He's in Arkansas, and I don't know what's wrong with the system, Jay. So what we did is, fortunately, we have a lot on display, so we took our entire system down, and Josh drove the whole reference system that we have here, piece for piece, that matched the clients, and we just started troubleshooting. So he drove to Arkansas with a van full of stuff.
Wow.
We got the customer up and running in no time, swapped out the units, then we got his unit fixed and put back in our demo inventory. So it's like, no problem. We'll just drive there with hundreds of thousands of dollars of equipment.
I can't say that about many dealers out there. And I have worked with a lot of different dealers. One of the reasons why it is key and it is important to remember that when you buy this level of electronics, and by the way, I know you keep saying you have a lot of expensive gear, but they also have affordable. And you'll see as the video progresses, they have all kinds of price points, okay? Customer support is key. And when you're buying something like this, to me, there's nothing better than knowing that I can pick up the phone, call the dealer, and the dealer is going to make it right for me one way or the other, right? Now, yes, I know I deal primarily with the used high-end audio, so I bypass that benefit. A lot of you want to pay, I said it the other day, you guys want to eat caviar and pay sardine prices. Can't have that. If you want that white glove service, if you want a reputable dealer, this is a perfect example of what a dealer should be doing in order to support you. So I commend you for that.
Thank you.
It's so important to hear stories like this, and I wanted to make sure that it gets highlighted first and foremost. Now, as I look at the store, of course, we have the typical brands, but I'd like for you to tell me, Tyler, the main brands, the brands that you want to talk about today.
Yeah, so we're going to start with this room, and I'll show you we start at the best of the best.
Best of the best.
So this is all Audio Group Denmark room, so everything in here comes from Denmark.
Okay.
We import it, we retail it, we put it in our customers' homes all over the country. And so we have kind of one of the most famous speakers in the world, Borresen loudspeakers, of course.
Yep.
And this is just one of probably 30, 40 pairs of Borresens we have on display here at the store. Yeah, it's crazy.
Wow.
And that's really important too for the customer service, because as Jay mentioned, we now have price points that are reasonable, right? We have now a $5,500 monitor we're going to show you in a little bit.
Yep.
From the same fabled brand of Borresen. And then we go up to $550,000. But customer service to me is that if Dane and I or Josh bring in a client, that you can listen to any of the products you want to. And it's not like, oh, we don't have that one. I could order that one for you. Oh, I've heard it. No. You come in, listen. We'll provide you with great service so you can listen to everything.
And that great service, also comes at the $5,500 price. I mean, I know we're talking about other price points here, but something I think that's really important about your hi-fi is it's kind of like your job. You spend a ton of time with your hi-fi, sometimes more time listening to hi-fi than you do necessarily talking to your wife or talking to your husband. Sure. Or, just like at work, you spend more time at work than you do at home sometimes. So it's really important that we understand the exact, client and what their life is like, and do they have children, and what room is this going to be in? And oftentimes, more than not, these clients have just really become friends. I mean, we have an amazing client in Arizona who's a good friend now, who has said, can I write Tyler into my will to make sure my kids don't...
Absolutely.
Wow.
Don't give these products away at the wrong cost to people. Or
that's great.
We have people call and say, hey, I'm going through a tough divorce. Can you come help me downsize my system? Because I know I need to, make changes in my life, or I'm moving, or whatever the case is. I mean, we've heard it throughout all the years, right? But that's just why it's so important to understand the client as much as the system, and I think sometimes more than the system,
agree.
because systems change and,
All the time.
and people's lives change. And so I think that's, the real personal element that just being in customer service and putting that focus first has done for our business.
Now, one thing that we were having a conversation recently, and Tyler mentioned that he has to believe in the product in order for him to sell it. He has to believe in the product in order for him to sell it, and that resonated with me. A lot of what I bring into my lab are products that, number one, pique my interest. Of course, after that, I test them, I listen to them, review them, and give my opinion on a product, right? It's sort of like what you do when something is kind of like attracting you.
Yeah.
You probably bring it into the store quietly, listen to it, and if it passes all your tests, let's do it.
Right.
Do I have that right?
100%. It's got to get me excited. I mean, that's if I'm not excited about it, there's no way in hell I could sell it.
Oh wow. Okay, that's a strong statement, because oftentimes dealers only take on products because they are the flavor of the month, the new product that's trending. And so they figure that, hey, it's hot right now, let's take on that line because we're going to really sell the hell out of it. And once that fire is completely extinguished, what happens is they begin to have like a buffet of lines.
Yes.
And so that adds nothing but confusion for us consumers, because there is such thing as too many options being a bad thing.
Yeah.
So you are more like focused with the brands that you pick.
Yeah.
And I see that you've been a Borresen dealer and all of the Denmark products, of course, Denmark Group products for quite some time. So you remain very focused.
Yeah, I think that's really important, because I know that I can only be an expert in so many areas in our business. And so to spread our shop or my knowledge or my experience or my excitement thin by 30, 40 lines, it just doesn't resonate with what I want to do. And like the other piece of it that I think is really important, like, and we've been kind of circling back to this customer service idea, like, I don't know what someone who operates like that, or a business that operates like that, I don't know that it's a comfortable conversation with one of your trusted clients the next week if there's a new flavor of the month.
Yeah.
And so like these relationships, as Dana was mentioning, like are truly like two of my business mentors started out as clients. And now, these guys have hugely successful companies. I call them for business advice. Like, I would never want to be in a position where I'm telling that client, hey, I sold you last week. That's no longer good because I found this. And so
see it all the time.
Yeah, it's just
I see it all the time.
It's not authentic, and that's really, really not what we want to do. So it's got to get us excited. It's got to be authentic. It's got to be real. And yeah, we like the really high-end stuff, and it took a long time. We did not start here. It took a long time to get here. But even, our little babies, which I'm excited to show you, the $5,500 monitors. I mean, Jay, I could live with those for the rest of my life. If this stuff went away and our business changed dramatically and we decided we wanted to retire today, I could easily, that speaker still gets me excited. So.
Okay, so we are about to listen. I want to listen to the $500,000 Borresen, please, before I look at the rest.
Absolutely.
And I have my ears fresh right now. I want to enjoy the presentation. So I am going to do that right now and get back to you guys. Well, here I am listening to the $550,000 Borresen M6 loudspeaker. If you noticed, off to the right, the M6 happens to be right up against a glass window, a wall, if you will, and yet the speaker behaves quite well. I still feel the impact. I still feel the bass literally crawl on the floor all the way up to my toes. And the sound stage is so massive that it washes over my shoulders. One of the biggest things that I remember, attributes that I remember about the M6 is essentially the separation, the stereo imaging of the speaker is unlike anything else I have ever heard. And let me tell you, I have been in front of a lot of loudspeakers. This speaker seems to pull off something that I have never witnessed before. No surprise, the ribbon tweeter happens to be an exceptional tweeter that I am starting to really, really connect with. It is such a musical tweeter. In this case,
what Borresen has done is create a speaker that's able to spread its wings left to right, top to bottom, and it gives you the feeling that you're not essentially off axis when you're sitting next to the left side of me or the right side of me. The speaker just does a phenomenal job at giving everyone a world-class experience. One of the most beautiful speakers I've ever been in front of. And of course, the huge sound stage is at full display.
Okay, so we have seen the cost no object room.
Yep.
And now we're going to see which room.
We have reasonable price points too. So come on over to the next room. We're going to hit Audio Group Denmark products again, but at price points that start at $5,500 for a pair of speakers.
There you go. Don't complain. I'm bringing it all to you guys.
That's right. Let's go.
All right, let's see. Wow. It's impressive. Man, this is so tell us a little bit about this room. This definitely is more affordable, but I remember these guys.
Yeah.
I remember these puppies at Capital Audio.
$22,000 for a pair full range Borresen floor standers.
And by the way, this speaker won in the room that they were in, best room of $50,000 and under at the entire show. Okay, I still remember having a difficult time finding a loudspeaker for this price point that delivers the performance of the speaker. To be honest with you, it completely blew my mind.
Yeah.
I could not believe how much you get for your money with this. So I'm assuming this is a really good seller for you.
It's incredible. It's incredible. And the value for the client, I mean, if you have a room that can handle a full range, I mean, it's not the smallest speaker in the world. It's insane value. We have nothing else at the store. Yeah.
So I'm about 6'1". So you have an idea of the size, the scale, how big it is, okay? But it is very slim. So sorry, continue.
No, you're right. I mean, and one little side note, I mentioned this at Capitol when we talked, but I love that they package these babies in flight cases. So, you know,
what?
Yeah, customer spending $22,000 for Borresen loudspeakers gets rolling flight cases, and we deliver it for them, you know?
Right now, I know of a speaker brand that will go nameless, okay, that is over $50,000 MSRP, and they come in boxes, like they look like U-Haul boxes. I'm not even going to mention names because you know how that goes for me. But yes, for 22 grand and you get flight cases, that's unheard of. I mean, those flight cases are a lot of money as it. I remember trying to, you know, get a quote on how much those cases, they're not cheap, those flight cases.
You could spend several thousand on flight cases.
My God.
Yeah. And so, really cool. So this is the top of the range of the Borresen X series. Okay, X is the range. This is called the X6. You heard the X3. That's a smaller floor stander. You've heard the X2. So for the first time ever in the world, the X1 is getting unveiled, and this is a stand mount two-way. But you know, you got to hear it. But wait till you hear this price point.
I'm gonna hear it.
$55 for the pair. The stands at, you know, if you need the stands, you're not going to put on bookshelf, which is what we'd recommend like this. So as they sit, $6,600 a pair or $5,500 without the stands. So the stands are $1,100.
$5,500, and I love this carbon fiber on the top. It is a beautiful looking Euro design. They're not bulky, they're not ugly. I personally like this finish more than any wood finish. I mean, again, that's subjective, right? So colors for different flavors for different people. What do you feel, and I'm sure you've heard them, they probably are still being broken in, right? I'm assuming.
Yeah, we literally have like an hour on them.
Wow.
Yeah, so they're brand new. We're going to play them overnight so that hopefully they have a few hours before our unveiling to the world tomorrow at our event. But it absolutely incredible. And what's really fun about them is, you know, they scale, they already can pressurize a room, but what's really fun about this system is right behind you, we're driving them with, you know, so over there we had, you know, the budget was unlimited in the room previous. In this room, we have all-in-ones. So we have a $5,500 complete system here. This is called the Forte One. So it's your amplifier, it's your DAC, it's your streamer, it's your integrated, so it's got a preamp, it's got a headphone amplifier, all in one. So,
wow.
So a complete system here for $5,500. And then we have the next model up, and then the next model up is available as well.
So you're saying that for $6,600
Yep.
and 55, what's that, like 11,700?
Something like that, yeah.
Like under 12 grand, more or less, you pretty much have everything, and the only thing you need are some cables.
Yep, a set of speaker cables.
Set of speaker cables, and you're done. Once again, that value proposition that I talked about at Capital Audio Fest, and of course, how affordable it is. And I know you're going to kill me because you're going to say this dude is smoking something. It's still $12,000. But again, when you listen and you see what I've had in my lab, this is affordable. I have power cords that cost more than these two components put together. So it is an affordable proposition. I always feel like brands, in this case Denmark Group, they spend so much R&D, hours, time, designing these two things to go well together, right? So that we don't have to do the work.
Yeah.
We don't have to tinker. Maybe you want to get fancy and buy your own power cord. Cool.
Sure.
Okay, that's fine. If you don't want to even guess that, buy their Anzus cable line. Yeah. You don't have to go for the all-out assault like the ones in that room. If you can go with the entry-level Anzus cables and be done.
Yeah.
If your goal is to enjoy for the least amount of money, in quotes, why not just give this a shot? I mean, this to me it's got a lot of, and I'm actually nervous as I say this. I am sure I'm going to be shocked by the performance of these speakers. Because when I hear what $5,500 is doing today, $5,500 did not do this type of performance 5 years ago. Yeah. 3 years ago, maybe. So to know that this is doing what it does for $5,500 is actually scary, even to me. Because the law of diminishing returns, right? Imagine when you have a $300,000 set of speakers to a $5,500 set of speakers, you're going to be like, yeah, I don't know what I'm doing with my money, but that's another subject altogether. So I'm liking this. So this is definitely your value, high performance proposition.
Yeah, within that Audio Group Denmark flair. So true Danish sound, engineered from speaker cone all the way to the first power cord. It's all engineered in-house with Audio Group Denmark. So we guarantee, in that regards, we guarantee the synergies there. It's not to say that someone couldn't add their favorite brand of power cord like you mentioned, or do something exotic to tweak it out, but with these systems, when they're engineered all by the same engineering team, we can guarantee a really synergistic and a really high performance system time and time and time again. It's very consistent for us.
Okay, so at this time I want to call the store manager, Josh, if you can join us, please. Pleasure to meet you, man.
Likewise.
It's been an amazing time here at the store. Can you tell us a little more about the differences between the Borresen X1 in comparison to the X6? Like, what does someone get by going from this $5,500 floor standard, bookshelf speaker to the floor standard? Because a lot of us, let's keep it real, right? A lot of us think it's just a bigger speaker for a bigger room. Yeah. But I want to make sure that I don't have that. I don't want to have it wrong. I want to make sure that I'm saying the right things, but I'm going to leave you guys to articulate and expand on what does someone get by going from this to this.
Yeah, so a bigger speaker for a bigger room is certainly part of the equation. The X6s can fill a larger space with sound. They can pressurize a larger room. They will sound the way you want them to in a larger room, the way a smaller speaker can't. But there's also the factor that a larger multi-driver speaker like the X6s, each individual midwoofer will have to work a lot less hard to achieve a certain level of sound pressure.
Gotcha.
So the result of that, those drivers working less hard, is that you're going to gain resolution. The driver won't be quite as stressed. You'll get more articulation.
That makes sense. That makes sense, and it's something that oftentimes is confused.
Yeah.
And that goes across every single speaker manufacturer, not just Borresen. That confusion that people think, oh, my room doesn't need that speaker because that's just for a bigger room. And I have to say, based on my own trials, that's not the case. There is so much more information that this speaker, due to its compromises, right, only 2 drivers, is just essentially part of the design. You can't really separate things as good as when you have multiple drivers, right? And that's one of the reasons why I think, in my opinion, and hopefully you guys are agreeing with me, it is important to have something that's bigger that can separate things better.
Yeah, I mean, this is a case of more is better, you know, and we don't always say that in life, but, you know, if the room can support it, right? Like Josh and you bring up a good point. Like the first thing you don't ever want to do is put too big of a speaker in too small of a room, because you'll never overcome room physics. But assuming your room could support, you know, a relatively larger size speaker and the budget, you absolutely want more drivers. As Josh said, less strain, what does that mean? More resolution, right?
More resolution. So now behind the room we have which line is the Z, right? Z line?
Yeah, so primarily, we've been exploring the X series up front here, which we currently have on rotation as we're breaking them in. But behind us we have the Z series, which is the next range up in the Borresen line. And that's a full range. We have a stand mount all the way up to a very large floor stander as well. So the next level up beyond the X series that we just listened to and we're talking about is the Borresen Z Series, and it's a full range of products. This is the Z2 floor stander. What you get with the Z Series when you increase your budget is you get better drivers, you get better tweeter, and a better crossover. So it's a higher performance speaker, of course, at a higher price point. The Z2 it's a bit deceiving in the lineup because it does utilize a very powerful 8-inch Borresen, of course, in-house driver. And so while it looks kind of small perhaps next to me, it is an extremely powerful speaker. And the same thing can be said for the Z3, which is the next model up. Has two 8-inch in-house Borresen drivers. All Borresen drivers are in-house, but two of their 8-inch on this model. What's kind of cool about this, we worked with our team in Denmark and said, hey, would you custom paint the baffle in gloss white to kind of match the speaker cabinet, because normally they'll have a black baffle, and so they were able to do this one custom for us, very nominal charge, but it just kind of really changes the look of the speaker. And then this is the best in the Z series. This is called the Z5, and it's the Cryo edition. You can order the Z series in cryo or non-cryo, and what that means is if you order the cryo, which is a little bit more money, is everything is cryogenically treated in the speaker. So the motor, the cabling, the magnets, everything that can be frozen really cold is frozen in the cryo version to give you greater performance. And last but not least is the monitors in the Z series. So we started at the floor standers. These are the monitors. So this would be the big brother to the new X1 we were showing. We have two versions. Obviously one's black, one's white, and then we have the cryo and non-cryo. And this is just an incredible two-way monitor that will disappear and the music will just flow out of.
And now that brings me to room number 3, one of the most interesting rooms, actually, I should say, and perhaps this is the room that many of you will be quite excited to see. Let me show you. Here we have the Borresen X3 in a beautiful white gloss finish with this amazing carbon fiber on the top. I find it extremely modern, cool, kind of like a BMW flavor to it. Love that. And of course the Sopra 3, a speaker that I've owned maybe 3 years ago. Current MSRP of this one is $11,000. Current MSRP of this is $26,000. Now, originally, this speaker MSRP'd for about $16K, $18K, around there. But today, it is clearly a lot more money than the X3. I just sat in that chair 3-4 minutes tops combined, and I listened to both. And I want to be honest, you couldn't get me to buy this speaker for $26K after hearing the Borresen X3s that are $11,000. Impossible. The performance of this speaker for the money completely kills the more expensive offering. I don't know how Borresen is doing it, because $11,000 is really unheard of. This level of performance for $11K, one more time, left me baffled, left me scratching my head thinking, no, that shouldn't be happening. As a matter of fact, these are more money than the X6s. Think about that. The X6s that you just saw in the other room are $22K. These are $26. And the baby $11,000 X3s are essentially displacing these speakers. It was so difficult for me to swallow that pill. I had to hear it. So from my perspective, if you want to hear my opinion, okay, again, this is not the store owner's opinion. This is my opinion. This speaker outperforms this speaker. I heard it here. And if you want to hear it too, come by and visit Next Level HiFi. Let me bring back Tyler so Tyler can talk about this system, what he's put together here.
Yeah, always speak honestly, so I appreciate that. I'm not here to tell people what they're hearing, so I appreciate you jumping in and just saying what you heard. We love Focal. We've been a Focal dealer for a lot of years, primarily because we're a large name dealer. And, so this is their Naim 500 range. It is a classic reference series from Naim. We've got it fully tricked out, separate power supplies, big powerful amplifier, top of the line streamer, dual power supplies. So this is a real high-end system. And of course it's paired with the Focal Super 3s, which we love. But we were doing some other testing for a client and we had the Borresen X3s hooked up in here. So I said, Jay, why don't you listen to them head for head?
Man, you did me wrong, man. You did me wrong, man. I shouldn't have done that, but I appreciate that because otherwise I would have never understood what was happening. And I heard it with my own ears, man. I can't tell you how shocked I am at what I heard. I'll say something again. People love when I say these things, and I'm going to say these things that are very controversial at times. These things that sometimes come out of my mouth are things that my audience wants to hear from me. And one of the things I can say is I feel like right now under $22,000, and I'm going to choose $22,000 because the X6 is $22,000 loudspeaker. I'm going to say that right now I don't feel there is a better speaker, regardless of the brand, under $22K, my opinion, than what Borresen has. The X series that Borresen has, to me, it just proved itself to me with an $11,000 speaker, let alone the 5500 X1 that we're going to be listening to. So yeah, I'll be real with my audience here. If you're looking for something that's 22 and under, you really got to pay a real close look at Borresen and their X series. I've heard a lot of speakers at show. I had a little birdie tell me out there that there are many loudspeaker brands out there that are struggling with the propositions, the price performance propositions that are coming from the Denmark group when it comes to loudspeakers. Yes, that's a thing. I heard that. So I am hearing it now, and it seems to be seems to be the case. So, but I'm quite shocked at what you allow me to do here.
Yeah, you're welcome to use it anytime, and I appreciate your feedback. A couple cool things also I want to show you about our primarily Naim Focal room, normally Naim Focal exclusively, is we do have a very special turntable that you'll probably never see another one of these in the world. We're partners with Lin for our analog.
Okay.
And this is called a Lin LP12 50th anniversary. There's only 250 in the world, and Josh just got done building this for our client. So Lin, of course, is very bespoke and hand-built, so Josh was assembling it, testing it before we take it down and send it off. But this is an awesome, awesome deck. $60,000, only 250 made in the world.
Wow.
And one of our good clients snagged it, so we'll be ship it out to him, and then Josh will go meet it there and reassemble it. So we first assemble it, test it, disassemble it, ship it, fly out to the client, reassemble it, test it, leave the client's home, and that little bit more of that customer service.
Just a little bit more. Just a little bit more of that customer service. Not a lot.
Yeah.
Just a little bit, right?
Yeah. And then the last, of course, this is, we're big believers in the Audio Group Denmark stuff, and so we even employ it with our Naim systems. We've had a lot of different cable and accessory brands, and I know there's a lot of good ones out there. We've landed on ANSUS, and so even in our Naim systems, we're using ANSUS power distribution, ANSUS high performance network switches, because of course we're doing a lot of streaming here. Mm-hmm. So you'll see those components don't quite match up with the normal Naim look. And then the final thing we're pretty excited to share with you is, we're real serious, obviously, as you know.
Yeah, no doubt.
We even have the Naim Statement.
Statement.
Yeah.
the statement pieces, which are like what, 300 grand for the amp, preamp, and the monos and the preamp, I should say, right?
Yeah, I think you're right on. I think it's about 100,000 per tower. So you've got a mono, an analog preamp, and another mono. So left, pre, right. And you know what's kind of a cool little tidbit about these? It's 700 some odd watts per channel into 8 ohms, like 784 watts, I think.
Power. It's Class A, B, Class D. What is it?
Class AB.
Class
yeah,
AB.
Class AB, which it was pretty much all of Naim's equipment's AB. And I think it's 784. Your viewers will know for sure, but that equates to exactly like 1 horsepower.
1 horsepower.
Yeah. So each monoblock is 1 horsepower.
1 horsepower.
in
As
8
if you don't
ohms.
have enough power in case you're afraid it won't drive your speakers.
Yeah. So this is really cool. We really believe in Naim. We love it. Works great with the focals, as you heard on the Sopra 3s, and then.
And it works amazing with the Borresen X3s.
Yeah,
By the way, when I heard them, I was listening to them with what's supposed to go good with Focal, which is Naim gear. So I was shocked because we technically were given the upper hand to Focal, since Focal and Naim work together really well. But let me tell you, the Borresen still delivered a performance that I could not believe, man. I am like, when I leave here today, I'm going to still remember this impression of these $11,000 Borresens, because I don't think I've heard anything for 11 grand that has shocked me as much as these speakers have. I would have absolutely no problem owning a pair of these speakers. And as you know, I own a $300,000 Chronosonic right now, and 2-3 other speakers that you haven't seen yet, but there are more speakers in my lab, and I would have no problem making this part of my stable. It's crazy, the performance of these speakers. I don't really know how Borresen is doing it, but I, again, will say I have heard from several sources that other speaker brands are having a hard time coming up with price performance propositions for those of you who have a limited budget. I think Borresen right now is stealing everyone's business under $22K when it comes to loudspeakers. And I believe it now. I mean, I can see. It just did it for me right this second. So, but this is really cool, what you have built here. Really love the store, Tyler. It's been a phenomenal time, a phenomenal experience, getting to see the different price points that you have. Of course, you have Naim, you have Focal, and of course, everything that you can think of when it comes to the offerings of the Denmark group, right?
Yep.
So you have every product available. If you haven't had a chance to come and visit Next Level HiFi in Wayne, Illinois, okay, I 100% recommend that you come here. If you live in Chicago, which is approximately a 50-minute drive more or less, get your butt here to Wayne, Illinois. Come and pay these guys a visit. Family owned and operated business, okay? You get the customer service, loving people. If you want to have a glass of wine, they'll give it to you too. They have amazing wine. We got to have some wine after.
Yeah.
These guys are all about catering and taking care of you to make you feel like you're part of their family. And to me, that is something that I quite appreciate. Man, this looks so pretty, man. The snow, we don't get this in Florida. It's always hot, humid. I see this and it's just like, it feels like it's Christmas for me, the Christmas that we don't have in Florida. But anyway, man, let's sit down and talk a little more about, Next Level HiFi and
Absolutely,
the philosophy and everything that you stand by. Like, you're essentially, I made a comment earlier, if you guys remember, about the importance of customer service, the customer service experience as well for Next Level HiFi. So I know you wanted to give me a little more about that. Talk a little more about that. Tell me, how was this born? I know it's been like 20 years since you started, so it would be interesting for my subscribers to know how this all came about.
Cool, yeah, for sure. And thanks, thank you guys for venturing down. It is quite a bit colder than your beautiful state of Florida. So you're bearing the snow, and but you're doing great. So we'll appreciate it. But yeah, it's been a journey, Jay. Like you go around the showroom and the boutique today, and you see this, and this was not something that happened in the last year or two. I mean, this has been a culmination of really 20 years of we've been at it.
A lot of work.
Yeah, we started in 2005, and of course, we started out of the home, and we built it up piece by piece, and like we knew the thing then was like we had to be passionate about the products we were selling, and then beyond passion, we had to make sure we were taking care of our clients, because we certainly didn't have a marketing budget. We certainly didn't have a glamour showroom like we do today, or a really beautiful facility. And so we knew we had to take care of people. And my wife has been a great supporter and helper of the business, but it's just something that's evolved. And one of the things that I've always wanted to do was to not serve too many masters. Like, I didn't want to have a little bit of this product, a little bit of this product.
Right.
What I wanted to do was have some very focused brands that just get me excited when I listen to them, give me the goosebumps. And I knew if I had that passion about them, I just wanted to have the full range of products. So that, let's say, let's pretend you were a consumer and you called me and said, hey, Tyler, do you have this model? I always wanted to be able to say yes of the brands that I believe in, those brands that gave me goosebumps. And so that's how our storefront has evolved to what it is today.
Definitely a different experience from a lot of the different stores that I have visited. Obviously, they all have their own theme that they go by. They march to the beat of their drum, and yours is definitely different. I think that the feel that I get here is more of, it feels like a house that has cool gear to listen to. We love the look, the feel of the inside, of course, decorations and how things tie together, because I think you said something very interesting. Actually, I remember this. The visuals are just as important.
Yeah.
And so when you look at a loudspeaker, you said that if the person initially looks at a specific model from brand X, but it doesn't enter through here, chances are they're not going to accept it here either. It's going to be a difficult task for them to hate it visually and love it when they listen to it, right?
Yeah.
I never thought about that for a second, but it makes a lot of sense. Do you feel that's how your life has been ever since you started when it comes to the hi-fi world? Do you feel like you also have to like the way it looks, or do you see it more as, okay, I know it all sounds good, and ultimately I'm selling audio, of course, components that sound good, but do you take that into account, to the look, the aesthetics of the product?
Absolutely. I mean, I think all too often us serious audiophiles are too kind of inclusive, or maybe even a bit self-absorbed with our hobby. And so what does that mean is we often will take over our family's living spaces. I know we're all guilty of it at some point. Yeah. And so oftentimes we don't pay attention to not only what's beautiful to our ear, but what's beautiful to our homes, our significant others. So I'm a big believer in, like, aesthetics really play into this as to what we hear. But I also believe that totally exists in other hobbies and passions. I mean, automobiles, it could be maybe the fastest or best handling car in the world, but if it didn't speak to you aesthetically, you might never even get behind the wheel.
I would have to agree with that. What do you see for Next Level HiFi in the future?
Yeah.
I meant to ask you that earlier. I just got caught up with all the equipment and all of the toys.
We have lots of
because
toys.
This should be called Audio Are Us. Instead of Toys R Us, I would call it Audio Are Us, because there's so much incredible things to see here, audio-related things to see here. Where do you see Next Level HiFi over the next 2 to 3 years, short term?
Short term, yeah. So we are currently we're doing well, and we've been at it. It's hard work, as you know. We work 7 days a week, just like you guys.
I never knew it. Excuse me, I'm sorry to interrupt you,
please.
but I didn't know anything about Next Level HiFi until Capital Audio Fest.
Okay.
So, and that's where we linked up, and now, of course, you're definitely going to be remembered. So, go ahead.
So I think that's some of the mission, right? Like we built this very organically. We didn't have a marketing budget. We didn't have a lot of things in place that we have today, and quite honestly, there's a lot more tools in place today, like channels like yours, so we can share our store in Chicago to all your viewers.
Yes, absolutely.
So what we do today, though, is we are on the road a lot. So we talked about that customer service part, and we travel maybe every week, every other week, myself or a team member, and we install the systems that we sell. Right, that's part of the customer service thing. And so where do I see that in the next 2 years? I see our team growing a bit.
Yeah.
I see maybe if we're on the road twice a month to do a big job, maybe that happens 3-4 times a month. I see our marketing presence increasing. The number of shows we do nationally is going to be increasing. We currently are exhibiting at 3 shows. I see that number increasing to 5 this year. So
Oh, wow, incredible. And now you're on social media heavier here
Yeah.
at Jay's Audio Lab.
something I know
So-
nothing about.
so-
So appreciate you helping me share my message.
That's my main mission objective now in 2024 with my brand is to, bring more public awareness when it comes to the number one customer service experience and the great dealers that are behind some of these brands, right? And so you are first in line showcasing what you've built over the last 20, 22 years with you and your wife. Of course, a lot of blood, sweat, and tears, I'm sure.
Yeah.
And it's just great to see a family-owned, operated business and that you are standing behind each product and that you're passionate about what you do. You have no problem rolling up your sleeves and traveling wherever you need to go to provide that service that you're so incredibly, like, you're a believer of, right? And I can't say that about many dealers out there, but I can say that the short time that I've been here, I get that sense that I could definitely see a lot of returning customers. Not because of the gear, because the gear is important, but I think it's also the added value that you bring to the table.
Yeah.
Right? Because I'm talking to the man who owns the store, right? I'm talking to the person who makes the decisions. I'm talking to the person who can make magic happen. He doesn't have to call another person, another boss above to, help you out with a trade or get approval of any kind. You're talking to the person that will tell you what he can do for you on the spot. And to me, that's awesome. Oftentimes on these stores, I don't get to meet owners. I get to meet the staff, the manager, like Josh, right? But I don't get to meet those that make those big decisions. And I think that makes the customer feel a lot closer to Next Level HiFi.
Yeah, I appreciate that. I mean, I think it's important. I think that's what your channel brings too, right? Like, you say things sometimes that are controversial.
Yep.
Sometimes not, but
you guys love it. Don't play. You guys love when I do that.
But you know what they love, and they love authenticity, right? So like, I think it's really important for our client. Like, we'll do. Fortunate, we're very blessed. We'll do $1 million systems, and if there's not authenticity and trust, just like for your viewership, they're not going to tune in. And so I hope we convey a level of trust and authenticity for our customers that keep them coming back. And I think that's kind of been our organic success story back from 2005 is just taking care of people, always doing the right thing, always be honest and truthful.
And I know he just mentioned a $1 million system, but now $5,500 Borresen X1s. So he has all kinds of budgets. And let me tell you, even though I don't want to call it entry level, but it is an entry level product, the X1, right? But it doesn't sound like what an entry level product typically sounds like. I'm telling you, you need to come here and experience the whole Next Level HiFi experience. It's unlike anything else you've ever experienced in your life.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah, it's a great point. So often we're talking about the big boy systems or the really expensive stuff, but I mean, now we have speakers in the store ranging from $5,500 a pair and then up to $550,000 a pair. And we've got everything in between.
Covered. I love it. I love it. So a lot of great things coming out of Next Level HiFi.
Thanks for watching, guys. We hope you enjoyed that video just as much as we did. We have so much more in store for our YouTube channel, so please subscribe, like, and we'll see you at the next one.